Salve, and welcome to Parsing John. Today we are in Chapter 1, verse 28, about to finish off an entire section. Here is the rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this passage. Let's go ahead and get started. Haec in Bethania facta sunt trans Jordanem ubi erat Johannes baptizans. Very short one today. So in our first sentence, we want to look for our main verb, which we find here in the facta sunt. Sunt tells us that it is third person and plural. Facta is from facio, facere, feci, factum. It has a as its ending, which we know means that it has to be neuter, plural, since sunt is plural. So neuter. And then this would make it perfect, passive, and indicative. And normally this means become, be made. But in this situation, it might not mean that. We'll have to take a look at the wider context, so I'll leave that blank for the moment. So we're going to find a neuter plural. Bithynia can't be it, since it's the object of the preposition in, so we can go ahead and block those off. This a tells us that this is going to be taking ablative, and this will be singular and feminine. Haec could be from hic, haec, hoc. I haven't written that down yet, so hic, haec, hoc, and in the plural we know it's he, hi, haec, and since haec is the nominative plural of the neuter, it also has to be that same form in the accusative. But we don't want the accusative, we want nominative, so plural, neuter. Normally though we would find a neuter, accusative. These what? Well, in the context of this, ubi and erat tell us that we have a new clause there. Jordanem, none of this is to what haec is referring to, so it has to be talking about everything that's occurred before now. All right, so these in Bithynia, since we don't have any other nouns, direct objects, indirect objects in here, we can go ahead and do our prepositional phrase. In Bethany, facta sunt, trans is a preposition, it takes accusative in its object. Jordanem is em, third declension, or technically it could be a fifth declension, accusative, but fifth declension is unlikely. Singular, and I don't actually know the gender of this word. I will have to leave that uncertain. But we don't have any adjectives modifying it, so it's not that important. Ubi is not a noun or an adjective, so our prepositional phrase has to end here, and this means across Jordan. So then we take a look at this again, and our first option is these. We put the word things in here. These things became in Bethany across Jordan. These things were made in Bethany across Jordan. Or our other option, when we have situations like this one, happened. These things happened. This is the one that fits best in English grammar, so that's what we're going to go with. Moving on, ubi. Ubi can mean either where or when. To determine which one of those, we need fuller context of the rest of that sentence, so we go to our verb, erat, which is a third person, singular, imperfect, active, and indicative of sum esse fui. It means was. So we want a singular subject. It can't be haec, because haec is plural and this isn't Greek. So we have to look for a new subject. We find Johannes, which as we see up here is already nominative singular masculine. We don't need to parse that again. Just write down his name. John baptizans. This is a participle from baptizo. Our stem is right there. Well, technically the A would be part of the stem. In S tells us that it is nominative, singular, masculine because its subject is masculine, or its antecedent is masculine, and it is present, active, and participle. Baptizing. So this finishes up this clause, and we take a look at our two options, where John was baptizing, or when John was baptizing. Now, really, either one could work. What we would want to do is we would want to take a look at the Greek and let it tell us what adverb Greek, of course, has, and which of these two makes the most sense. Either one can work. But one thing that we do have going on here is we've got two different actions, actually. It's not saying John was baptizing, but it's saying where John was while he was baptizing, as he was baptizing, something like that. That's the idea behind the participle here. All right, so we've got all of 28 done. Let's see it in its own self-enclosed context and then all of the context from verse 19. These things happened in Bethany across Jordan, where or when John was baptizing. So I suppose I should say, having talked about what the participle is doing here, where makes the most sense. Now, the greater context. From verse 19. And this is witness of John, when Jews sent from Jerusalem priests and Levites to him, in order that they might ask him, Who are you? And he confessed, and did not deny, and because he confessed, I am not Christ. And they asked him, What therefore? Are you Elijah? And he says, I am not. Are you prophet? And he responded, Not. They said therefore to him, Who are you? In order that we may give response to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself? He says, or he said, I, voice of crying in desert, make straight the way of Lord, just as Isaiah said, the prophet, and who had been sent, they were from the Pharisees. And they asked him, and they said to him, What therefore do you baptize, if you are not Christ, and not Elijah, and not prophet? John responded to them, saying, I baptize in water. Among you all, however, stood whom you all do not know. Himself is who is about to come after me, who has become before me, where did it go? Yeah, this one's hard. Of whom I am not worthy, that, or as I shall release the string of his shoe. These happened in Bethany across Jordan, where John was while he was baptizing, or as he was baptizing, or just baptizing. So that is the greater context of all of this section. We are finally done with the Latin. In our next video, which is going to be coming out probably Monday next week, unless calamity happens, which may very well. Anyway, in that video, we're going to take a look at our first page of Latin, 19 through 21, and compare that with the authority of Greek verses 19 through 21. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this teeny little verse has been helpful for you, and thank you for sticking with us. Have a good day.